People don't always recognize the moment something begins to change, not because they aren't paying attention, but because the change doesn't feel important at first. It feels temporary, explainable, something that will pass. Until one day, it doesn't. Welcome to Behind Addiction, where the stories aren't always loud, but they're always real. This is a story about Claire and Michael. At first, she thought it was just stress. Longer hours, more pressure at work, a phase, something adults go through. But then, he started coming home later, then not at all, and somewhere in between, she realized she didn't know where he was anymore. Claire and Michael had been together for 8 years. Not perfect, but steady. The kind of relationship built on routine. Dinner at the same time most nights. Weekends planned in advance. Conversations that didn't need much effort. There was comfort in that. Michael worked in finance. Structured, focused, reliable. Claire used to describe him as predictable, in the best way. Someone you didn't have to worry about. When things started shifting, they didn't feel serious. Work had become more demanding. New targets, longer hours, more expectations. Michael talked about it often. At first, then less. Claire noticed he was quieter in the evenings, more distracted. Sometimes he'd sit with her, but not really be there. Scrolling, thinking, elsewhere. When she asked, he gave the same answer. Just work. And again, it sounded reasonable enough to believe. The late nights came next, at first once a week, then more often. Meetings, deadlines, last-minute issues. Claire adjusted. Ate dinner alone sometimes, saved his portion, waited. She told herself it was temporary, that this is what commitment looked like. Supporting someone through pressure. But something didn't feel right, not wrong enough to confront, just different. Michael started coming home later, and when he did, he seemed off. Not tired, not exactly, just disconnected. Some nights he talked too much. Other nights, not at all. His sleep became irregular, his mood unpredictable. Claire noticed the smell once. Alcohol, stronger than usual, but she didn't say anything, because it didn't feel like enough to mean something. When doubt enters quietly, it doesn't arrive with certainty. It arrives with questions. Claire began asking them to herself. Am I overthinking this? Is this just a stressful period? Should I say something? But every time she got close, she stopped, because nothing had clearly gone wrong. Not yet. The first real moment came on a Sunday. They had plans. Simple ones. Lunch, a walk. Michael didn't come home the night before. Claire called. No answer. Texted. Nothing. Hours passed. When he finally replied, it was short. Stayed at a friend's. Phone died. No explanation beyond that. No apology. And something about that felt heavier than the absence itself. That evening, she asked him, is everything okay? Michael didn't hesitate. Yeah, just work. I told you. His tone wasn't defensive. It was closed, like the conversation wasn't open for discussion. And Claire let it go. Not because she believed him fully, but because she wasn't ready to believe anything else. The pattern repeated. Late nights, unanswered calls, short explanations, then nights he didn't come home at all. Once became twice. Twice became something she couldn't ignore anymore. Claire stopped sleeping properly, not because she was waiting, but because something inside her felt unsettled, like she was living beside a life she couldn't see. The truth didn't come all at once. It rarely does. It came in pieces. A charge on a bank statement, a name she didn't recognize, then another. Cash withdrawals, at odd hours, places that didn't match his routine. Claire didn't confront him immediately. She waited, watched. tried to understand what she was seeing, until the pattern became impossible to ignore. The night everything broke was quiet. No argument, no shouting. Michael didn't come home again. Claire didn't call this time, didn't text. She just sat there, in the silence. And for the first time, she stopped trying to explain it, stopped trying to make it make sense. Because deep down, she already knew. When Michael finally came back, something had changed. Not in him, in her. She didn't ask where he had been, didn't question the answers, because she understood something now that she hadn't allowed herself to see before. This wasn't stress, it wasn't temporary, and it wasn't something she could fix by waiting. Sometimes the hardest part isn't the truth itself. It's how long we try not to see it. Claire stayed longer than she should have, not because she didn't understand what was happening, but because she remembered who he used to be and hoped he was still there. By the time she stopped asking questions, she already knew the answers. And stories like this don't begin with something obvious. They begin quietly, in ways that are easy to explain away, until they aren't. Some people see the moment everything changed. Others only realize it after it's already gone.